this panel discussion is titled A Cultural Shift to Public Sector Finance. And anytime you have a shift in something, or you're trying to shift something, it's also a matter of perception. And, you know, that depends from what viewpoint you are looking at something. So a perfect example of that, of the success of shifting your perception. So there's a company in the US that makes clothing for outdoor adventure activities. People who are heavily involved in the investment space, particularly offshore, might know the company Patagonia. And the brand is highly committed to environmental and social responsibility. So they released a rather discouraging advert a couple of years ago, written, the fine print in that ad actually said, read this in reverse. So here it goes. Because we don't have a choice, we need to demand a livable planet. And we don't trust anyone who says it's too late to fix the climate crisis, because the reality is we can imagine a healthy future. So don't tell us that we're all screwed. This is the power of shifting your perspective and shifting the culture of an ecosystem. So really here to talk us through the discussion, we have, let me actually start off here on my left. Amos Twala is the SIGFARO Vice President. He is a certified fraud examiner and employed by Ngangala District Municipality as Chief Audit Executive. And then next to him, we have Anneline Murray. Anneline is the Chief Financial Officer at Sol Blake University in Kimberley. She is a board member of the SAICA Central Region Council and chairperson. There we go. And a chairperson of the SAICA Central Region District Committee. She also serves as a board member of SIGFARO, where she chairs the Audit and Risk Committee of the Institute. And then next to her, we have Mdumiseni Dazela from the Auditor General South Africa. And then next to him, we have Nombumelela Precious Majola Bonagude, the Acting Chief Director for Municipal Finance in the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs in KwaZulu-Natal. And then we have Ineleng Molete, the Chief Executive Officer of the Local Government Sector Education and Training Authority. Those are my panelists for today. I would like to also bring to the attention of the audience that we will be having a question and answer session towards the end. So, of course, you know the people that are here, the panelists that are here. So the questions that you do have, you can keep for whichever panelist you want to ask the question. So, of course, I did say this is a conversation about a cultural shift, and obviously that starts with perspectives, and really the, I guess the messaging of this is that we cannot change external perceptions of the public finance ecosystem if things are not done right internally, right? Charity starts at home. So just for my first question, I guess we'll start with you, Mdumiseni. I mean, obviously, we cannot, as I mentioned, ignore the impact of perception, really talking about what angle you view things. So let's talk about the landscape of public finance. What external perceptions are in misalignment with the actual workings of public finance? There we go. I think that's going to be on. Or if not, there is a mic. There we go. There we go.
Back up.
Thank you, colleagues. That's a reflection we've had as an AG. Over the past years, you all were aware that we would issue out audit opinions. And it started as a perception, which I will explain that it's now a reality to us, that we would then get questions to say, as citizens of the country, we get the AG issuing out these audit reports. We expect services. Now there's misalignment between the assurances we get from this chapter 9 execution and our experiences as citizens. So that started as a perception for the AG, and we have a new strategy now that we call Culture Shift 2030. And what we're saying in that strategy is that as we do work as an office, we want to match it with the lived experiences of people. We still audit finance. What we're then saying is that our auditors, municipalities, departments, when we close an audit cycle, we should be able to then say, based on your mandate and the money you spent, because we audit that, we are able then to say, you were able to deliver on your mandate. So that's the culture shift strategy that we're embarking on as the Office of the Auditor General. In simplified terms, we're plotting our clients. We call what we call a continuum. We classify them. We say, you're doing good. If you're doing good, it would mean that you're able to deliver on your mandate.
Yeah.
In your area of service, citizens have good reflections about you. If you're doing harm, it means that you're spending money of the government and you're not able to show results for that. So that's what we engaged in as an AG. We produce what we call insights through our reports. We're taking a step further. We want to influence people. We don't want people, our auditors to sit with our messages. We want them to action. We're tracking that. And instances where we find that we're not finding cooperation, we've got the new rights of enforcement. We're then coming in the enforcement. So that's where we're at as an AG. We've reflected on the reality that there's unmatched expectations between what the citizen experience on the ground and what our auditors are actually delivering. Thank you.
Unmatched expectations. Amos, I want to come to you because clearly there are gaps here. Would you say then that in terms of, because there seems to be a negative narrative of municipalities and what they can deliver, do you think that that's more, on the missteps that are taken within the public finance space? Also just maybe incorrect messaging that does go through to citizens?
Yes, I think correctly as you put it. As we embark on the strategy, I'll give a few examples. We've categorized our clients. We've got what we call coordinating ministries. That's your COGTA, that's treasury. That in part of their mandate, when you have, say, dysfunctional municipalities, they need to come and assist those municipalities, working with the municipalities. We've been having a number of dysfunctional municipalities in the past 3 years, 66 dysfunctional, there's no improvement. So once a municipality is not functioning, it cannot be able to deliver services. So it is partly a system issue that as we send out our messages to our client, we want to direct them to where there's bottlenecks. And our view is then that would unlock service delivery.
A system issue or incorrect messaging, Amos?
Yes.
No, thank you very much, Zinati, and greetings to the audience. I know this is a graveyard shift, but we'll try by all means.
There's nothing graveyard about us.
To make it interesting. I think, Zinati, based on the outcomes that we are receiving as municipalities, talking to the issues of your unauthorized, fruitless and wasteful expenditure, the amount that is increasing on a yearly basis to millions of rands. I think the message that that goes out there to the citizens, citizens look at that, and then what they are expecting is that municipalities are supposed to be acting in a certain way in order to correct that. But if they don't see that happening, in terms of, let me say, issues like consequence management, where people are going to be brought into account for those unauthorized, fruitless and wasteful expenditure. That is when, as citizens, they conclude that even if AG can issue a report, but that municipality will not act on that report. So whatever messaging that we are sending out there, as municipalities, we need to act after we receive those reports. Yes, so that we can correct that perception.
Just going to Nompumelelo, I know this is quite a bit. I think I'm starting off with the difficult questions, but don't worry, they're going to get easier. From what you've experienced and obviously what has been said in terms of just the mismatches that we get in terms of the messaging from the municipality, what they can deliver, and also what the citizens expect. You've had quite a long career in this space. What do you think what do you wish you knew at the beginning of your career that you know now, where you feel like maybe you could have done to make a change in terms of closing that gap?
Thank you. Thank you so much. At the beginning of the career, looking at the finance at municipalities, because we deal mostly with municipalities, is to ensure that their financial reporting, it is adequate and objective, is to get a clean audit. And remember that long time ago, the objective was unqualified audit outcome, but now the focus is to ensure that all municipalities receive a clean audit. Looking backwards, there was no much emphasis for the communities out there to monitor the municipalities to ensure that the financial resources are efficiently utilized and they're able to deliver services to communities. But right now, at the moment, especially in KwaZulu-Natal, the associations are very active. If you can notice that there are main associations like RSP Association around, they monitor municipalities, they read reports, the audit reports, they even read the financial statement, they engage even the MEC for COGTA on many issues relating to finance. So the communities now are more interested on the work of municipalities. They are more even interested on even the processes within the municipalities. So things have changed. There's a shift which is geared to ensure now that we not look to the normal processes of public finance, but now we look to the institutionalized, developed public finance. Looking forward now is more developed public finance sector for municipalities. So my wish as a public servant is to ensure that municipalities, they utilize their financial resources and to ensure that the main objective is to serve the public. Serve the public with the quality services and also serve them with the basic services, because there's an expectation of a basic service. A person that is out there is not looking at the municipalities and local government, they're not looking at provincial government. When they say government, they expect service delivery. They don't say it's local, they don't say it's provincial, but when they want water services, they want electricity, they'll think of government, but not isolated as a certain kind of a sector for public institution. So public finance needs to be geared and improved to ensure that the financial reporting is adequate, and then focus to ensure that proper and adequate and quality service delivery is provided to communities.
I want to come to you, Ineleng. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Please let me know.
It's fine.
So there's Anneline, and then there's Ineleng, right?
That's true. This is Anneline.
Yes, Anneline and Ineleng. Ineleng, I want to come to you because you're coming from CETA, from the education and training space. Do you think there's also a gap there in terms of now, because there seem to be all these mismatches in the public finance processes. Do you think that there's also a skills and a training and education gap there?
No, thank you very much, facilitator. It is Ineleng, so it's a Tswana name. Thanks. I don't think that we have a lot of skills gaps in municipalities when it comes to governance, when it comes to financial management. If you look at the CFOs, the municipal managers that have been fired in other municipalities and be used in other municipalities, it's people with requisite degrees and experience. Maybe what we need to look at is probably when we do what we call battery tests, wherein you are able to tell what type of a person this individual is, from that will be able to determine or detect the value system of this particular executive. Maybe we must start to invest in terms of that, because as an organization, I'm going to talk on behalf of the LGC, we give bursaries,
Yeah.
we give internships, we give candidacy programs with institutions like SIGFARO, SAICA, and many other professional bodies to make sure that people are empowered, to make sure that they understand from the back end up until the top end of what the job requires. But there's still deficiencies that we see ourselves in that are ventilated out there. So for me, I wouldn't want to say that it is a skills issue, because NSFAS gives bursaries, LG SETA gives bursaries, MIC SETA gives bursaries, Bank SETA gives bursaries. You know, there are so many partnerships. We are working with government to make sure that there is no gap for any opportunity of an African child to be able to be accountants. But I think what I see in any maturing democracy, when you run an organization and you see 2 billion, people tend to start to think that it is their money. And the importance of public funds is an understanding that public funds will always follow you. Public funds, there's legislation out there that dictates how it should be used. The importance also of understanding our value system. Yes, I'm a CFO. Yes, I'm a municipal manager. But if and when I have to process certain invoices, whether they meet the requirements, I don't need to know who those people are or meet them in restaurants and so forth. If and when we can understand that service is delivered and therefore service needs to be paid for. For me, at this level, I'm able to say this, probably with no shadow of contradiction, that it's just that those nuances that we need to get them right for our democracy to thrive. But from a resource point of view, I want to believe that civil society, business, and government are working together to make sure that we produce requisite skills.
It's actually quite an interesting point that you make there, that it really isn't a skills problem, but it's what you do when you actually get to those positions. And this leads me, Annelien, to my next question about servant leadership. What should be the pillars of servant leadership so that a person doesn't get to a certain kind of role and starts being arrogant about what they can get within that role, but actually does the work for civil society?
That's an easy question and a difficult one, because it's easier said than done. But here's how I see it. It starts really at the lower level, because you are talking about servant leadership, which assumes a leadership position is there. But my experience is that it really starts from your internship and it builds up. And so when you ask me about what the pillars are, the first thing I would say is honesty and integrity. And that is not something that you necessarily associate only with a leader, but it's something that you associate with any kind of person that works in accounting or that works actually in the public sector as a whole. So that is the first thing. There has to be honesty and integrity that comes from having examples in the workspace, but that is something that you need to build. The second important thing, which we cannot ignore, and some of my colleagues have touched on that, is the fact that you have to have the requisite skills and experience for the job. In my own experience, it is the situation where you find yourself in a position that you are not adequately skilled or capacitated for. That is when you become then arrogant and you're trying to defend something that you cannot. So the second pillar that I will say is that you have to be ready for the job. You have to have the right skills, the right experience, and the capacity to do the job. The third thing that I will name is a continuous willingness to learn and having that mindset of I'm not always right.
Yeah.
I can always be taught something, and that's not necessarily, again, by my seniors, but also by people that report to me. So having an open-mindedness and a willingness to learn is also a key pillar for me in becoming that humble and servant leader at the end of the day. There are many others that I can name, but those are the three that come to mind initially when you ask me that question.
It is fascinating because obviously when we talk about servant leadership, you're right. We do like to think that it's, for the people that are in those higher positions, but it's everybody. Being a servant leader, it sounds like an oxymoron, but that's actually how it's supposed to be. Amos, just coming to you, are there, because obviously this needs to come from you, but just looking at the ecosystem, are there any external hindrances that can maybe work against someone who is trying to apply servant leadership? Is the system actually accommodative of that kind of mindset?
No, thank you very much. I think especially in local government, where you'll find that maybe there is political interference in how you're supposed to be doing your work, that can sort of hinder the way you do your work. So we need to make sure that there are systems in place that can be able to safeguard against that, so that we separate, the administration from political. There's supposed not to be an encroachment where you'll find that politicians can be able to give instructions to the officials, telling them how they're supposed to be doing their jobs. So we need to make sure that we put in, controls and systems in place so that we are able to safeguard against that.
Nompopolo, coming to you, has that actually been the case? Because it's one thing to, display servant leadership, but it's also just about the reception of it by the stakeholders around you. How then do you maybe navigate a situation where there isn't a buy-in for what you're trying to achieve?
Okay, I'll just focus on municipalities.
Yes.
As my panel members has also indicated, there's political interference on the work of professionals, especially in finance. The most important thing for a person to be appointed in a position of finance is to be ethical and to have a backbone, because there are many, or else there might be some political interference within the organization, or else even external businesses that can even try to manipulate your thinking to ensure that you even go against the rules of finance, or else against the MFMA and manipulate funds of the municipality. Just want to emphasize that in our country, or else I'll just focus with KZN, we have ensured the skills audit is done. People that are appointed in this position are qualified. The only issue that we have is the strategic engagement. You find that the CFO is appointed, the CFO is supposed to prepare financial reports, the CFO is supposed to review, supervise, to do all the operations in the municipality, whilst the CFO is also required to attend many meetings in the municipalities, is supposed to be in strategic engagements, and don't even have enough time to monitor or else manage their section of finance. And then he might not be able to achieve what he wants to achieve. So ensure that the finances are properly recorded, or else managed in the municipality. So that is what I can see is lacking in our government. I know that there are municipalities that don't have enough financial viability. However, it is encouraged that a CFO should be focused on strategic and also have quality assurance on the financial reporting of their books in the organization, or else in the municipality, because we cannot run away or shy away that a council will request the CFO to attend these strategic meetings. Thank you.
Well, actually, on that note, let's get into the technicalities and really unpack them to me. I'm coming to you with this question. What really needs to go right for public finance to operate from a place of excellence? Operationally, what is the beginning of many of the challenges that municipalities face that lead them to getting unclean audits and lack of service delivery?
Thank you, Facilitator. As the AG, we've coined what we call the accountability ecosystem. In the simplicity of it is, we have classified our stakeholders, the leadership and the executive team. You start from the middle management, up the hierarchy to the mayor in the context of municipalities, and it is the board. Then on the other side, we have the oversight, meaning the parliament or the provincial oversight committees and the coordinating ministries in the context of COGTA that plays a special role. What we've realized is the biggest hindrance is that within that ecosystem, one role player or another are not playing their role. You find that you have a competent CFO that doesn't have support of the council when it comes to implementing consequence management. Then that entity doesn't perform because council is not performing. There was an example that was made yesterday, I think it was Mati Beng, a lady that was sitting there, where they said, as a council, they've taken up themselves, meaning they understand their role and responsibilities, to say, we have a non-performing audit committee. We have possibly a non-performing internal audit. Let's first start with that. So once in that ecosystem, everybody is able to perform as expected, you then start to see improvements. That's one thing in terms of, we talk about the insights, that as we engage yourself as our client, even if you're a CFO or financial manager, point us to the right direction to say, this is where the problem is. It doesn't mean that if there's irregular, it was approved by a finance manager. Take us, give us the right so that when we report, so that's one hindrance in terms of improvement. And we've observed it in some municipalities where there is intention, takes leadership, there's intent, that they quickly turn the corner. But where there's instability, and then you find that there's repetition in terms of the adverse audit opinions. Thank you.
Yeah, Amos, I want to come to you because, I mean, in theory, as we're talking about also budgeting, it would seem that a budget is, a simple thing. Okay, maybe not on my side because I did financial management twice. So it was not so simple for me. But, I mean, is it difficult to create the right budget with full funding?
Yeah, no, it depends on the municipality that you are in. If you are working for a municipality where you'll find that maybe the payment rate, it's low, people are not paying, yeah, it's difficult to create a funded budget. And then again, I think as councillors as well as, employees, when you go out there during our IDP process to go and find out what the community needs, we need to be truthful on what we can be able to achieve with the resources that we have. But you'll find that in most cases, when people go out there to their communities, they will sort of promise things that are not going to be within the budget that they have. So that is why they end up with an unfunded budget. And then again, the issue of your organogram, you'll find that in a municipality, there are lots of positions that have been created. Some of them, you don't really need them. But at the end of the day, you need to make sure that there's money to fund those positions. So we need to be realistic when we budget so that we can end up having a funded budget.
Yeah.
Yes.
And actually on that, because, you also talking about, you also said, the low payment rate.
Yes.
obviously we're talking about the municipal revenues, and we know the challenges that municipalities face in terms of being able to get money from residents for rates and service charges. But just coming to Anneline, like, is it a case of people don't pay because the municipalities don't deliver the services, or municipalities don't deliver the services because they have the challenge of people paying? Where's the chicken and where's the egg here?
Well, it's both. It's a vicious cycle, if I can call it that. So I think both parties should come to the party.
Yes.
But in my experience at the municipality, here's one of the root causes now from the municipal side, which maybe I can address here. The big challenge with the collection of revenue, one of the big challenges, there are many, is the fact that you have to really know and understand your data. So you cannot be expecting citizens to make payments, and I'm not even speaking about services or potholes in the road. I'm simply speaking about ensuring that what you are putting on your invoice to the resident is correct. And when you do get an inquiry about that statement that you have issued out, that you are able to actually say, this is the reason why we have charged you double your water bill compared to the previous month. So I think one of the biggest things that make citizens lose trust in the municipalities is that they don't have a clear and accurate route to getting simple information that I think they are entitled to. So from the municipality side, first of all, make sure that your data is clean and accurate. You need to analyze it on a monthly basis. You need to understand it, and then you need to categorize it. Okay, so it's also a case of understanding that we do have indigents, and they cannot pay. But we must still measure what they are using. And we must be able to categorize accurately who are the indigents, who are the residents that should pay, and who are the corporates that we actually need to a certain extent, support, because they're bringing in economic, they're increasing the economy within the city. So it's really a balancing act from the municipality side. But what I have learned is you need, if you are credible, if you are able to provide answers, people will gain trust in you, and there will be a tendency to pay. But if you cannot provide accurate data, if you are unresponsive, if you're unsure yourself as the municipality what is going on in your debtors book, you will not get that trust. And then, of course, if there are potholes in the roads and there are other challenges, unfortunately, the residents will not pay. So I cannot tell you where it started.
Yes.
But I can tell you that it is a continuum. And from the resident sides, they again need to understand that if I don't pay my bills, there's no way that the municipality can get out of this hole that they are in.
Yeah.
So that perception also needs to change. If you don't pay, nothing is going to get better.
Yeah, you're also
That's
talking
it.
about the municipality getting that data right. Ineleng, I want to come to you because from a training and education point of view, is there then a focus on trying to boost the efforts of data integrity?
Yes and no. Yes, you would know that the Skills Development Act, which is our Bible for sectoral education training authority, dictates that each and every year we commission research. It's called Sector Skills Plan that needs to be updated. It's basically labor market analysis. So at any given point, I can tell you the age profile of plumbers in eThekwini. Anytime I can tell you the age profile of finance staff in eThekwini. And that's how we are expected to budget for our own training intervention, meaning we are expected to have what we call 10 key priority skills for each and every year. After publishing the Sector Skills Plan, which happens around August each and every year, what we do, obviously we get primary data from municipalities. And it's correct that sometimes this activity is delegated to the lowest administrative staff, wherein you would find that Someone might say that in one municipality, people are saying they want cattle headers as a critical skill. And you ask yourself, how is this possible? How is this going to assist with the 9 key municipal service areas? And we ended up taking it back and said, look, we want road to the mayor, road to the municipal manager to say, this is the type of information that we need. So at the level of municipality, already as LG SETA, we've put a resolution in the board to say, from next year, we are not going to accept any workplace skills plan, which is training that is forecasted for the next financial year, and annual training report, which is the training that took place in the current year, because we use that primary data to be able to shape the future of the municipality in terms of labor force. And remember, we are expected, again by Auditor General SA, to see how we've used our budget. If and when my budget is $500 million, I need to justify and do a breakdown of how I've responded to the 10 key priority areas, how I've responded to the 5 key priority thrust of LG SETA, how I've responded to the 9 key municipal service areas in the Structural Act. So for us, I think it's just a question that was asked earlier about servant leadership. Making it your business to know your business. Whether it is just a workplace skills plan being coordinated at the reception or at the administration office. But the council needs to know, because this information goes out there. We feed Statistics SA, we feed the Department of Education and Training, we feed Department of Labor, and any other research repository. And the accuracy and reliability of that information has to come into effect, because if we don't do that, then it means we'll never turn around the ailing issues that happens in our municipalities. And it also means that we can't train, we will not be able to train the trades and the occupations that might be needed in the next 3 years, in the next 4 years, in the next 5 years, meaning we'll have a skewed spending that will not be concomitant to our developmental needs.
Before I go to Nombumbela, I just quickly want to go to the AG, Dumiseni from the Office of the AG. I mean, just in the budget process, because obviously you have preparation, implementation, and evaluation. Where in that process do you think is the place that's most ripe for a lot of hurdles and shortcomings in terms of getting this process right?
No, thank you. Well, I think the Vice President touched it a bit. Each institution has its own mandate that should be translated to goals. A lot of institutions, what they would typically do there in discussions when we discuss with them is that they are either lowballing when it comes to their mandate. Hence, you find the mismatch that at the end of the financial year, we report that most of your indicators and targets, they're not complete because your mandate requires you to do A, B, and C, and throughout the year, you've been doing the other. So that's very key in budgeting, that you should have an alignment between your organizational strategic goals and where you spend the money. There's then obviously then the political process that you find political appointees, they come with a mandate. It's a tricky situation, because if a minister from national comes and say, this is also the mandate of my party, that's not in the 5-year plan. So you need to find a way. So I think the executive team, but everything is recorded down. That's where they should get it. What you find is that at the end, nobody will explain to you how they got to the priorities or how other priorities found themselves in the process. I think it's transparency that needs to be embedded in the process, so that at the end of the term, the spending can be audited against the predetermined objectives. Thank you.
It's quite interesting also that you mentioned priorities. Nombumelelo, I want to come to you because it would seem simple that the budget is there to actually map out the priorities, but then you still get municipalities that get unclean audits. Is it also a case of that the priorities just do not match with the needs of the ecosystem in that municipality?
Looking at the clean audits, the clean audits, they need to ensure that their finances are accurate, fairly presented. Performance information is also adequate, meaning that the objective or indicators that has been set through the strategic goals of the principals in that public institution are achieved. Achieved in a manner that they can be verified physically, if it was an infrastructure project. Also, that even the indicators that are there are smart when they were set. On the compliance issue, that's where we get now. Most of the institutions, it can be municipalities, can be public sectors, the issue is the compliance. The work can be undertaken, the finance can do their work, but now there was non-compliance with certain legislations or revenue laws in that organization, and then it will fail the objective to achieve a clean audit. In our province, we probably have approximately like 11 municipalities which have potential to achieve clean audits, but most of them you will find that they are non-compliance issues, of which then they won't be able to achieve clean audits. So this is the focus. On the funded budgets, it is very important that when the municipalities prepare their budgets, when objective that it should be funded, they should ensure there's the revenue that is there, it is realistic revenue, credible revenue, estimated that it can be achieved. And most of the municipalities in our province, at the moment we have 6 unfunded budgets, and when you look at the status that we have, is that this municipality don't have cost-reflective tariffs. It's a big issue. Municipalities, they determine the revenue, but their tariff are not cost-reflective. Even though customers can pay the services, for the services, they won't be able to have enough or sufficient revenue to sustain their organization or a public institution. You'll find out that, yes, one of my colleagues indicated that there's high employment, the high employment rates within the municipality is above 40%. And one of the municipalities in the province has 58% employment rate, which is above the norm. This is required, of which is 40%. And this is a challenge on its own. The issue now to spend on unfunded mandates. Yes, there are mandates. We cannot run away from that. But then we need to have a backbone as the public sector finance that will resist to spend on unfunded mandates. This is very important. So that those issues, and the issue of the unfunded budgets within what is noted is the escalating ESCOM debts.
Yes.
That is here, escalating water debts. The Minister of Water and Sanitation is very clear that all municipalities that are owing or else are in area of water debts, they need to pay. And recently in the news, the Minister of COGTA has indicated that all departments that are owing municipalities now, you can see that there's that intergovernmental owing of debts between municipalities, public sectors, there and then. So that will also assist local government or else municipalities to improve their financial stability. If they can get those amounts that are being owed by other sectors, they can also be able to pay the other sectors and also sustain service delivery. So we need to, on the focus of funded budgets is also the revenue and the spending on unfunded mandates, and to ensure that we minimize our cost, we implement cost containment measures to ensure that we don't spend anyhow, but we utilize the public funds adequately. Thank you.
Amos, are there any low-hanging fruits to actually improve this situation? Because it's the whole cycle. People owe the municipality owes the water boards, and we're also talking about ESCOM, and as Nombumelelo said, there are tariffs that aren't cost reflective. are there any low-hanging fruits to actually improve the situation? Because I also understand that municipalities now going cap in hand to Treasury as well.
Yeah, I think some of the things that can be done to correct this situation is for us, to adhere, to the credit control policy of that municipality.
That's an improvement, but I suppose feedback should be given to COGTA to lobby National Treasury. Should there be additional requirements around how the figures come in the financial statements? But there's space now for management to explain in the annual report the nature. Thank you.
All right. Any more questions from the audience? There is a hand up over there. Okay.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the discussions. I just want to direct a question to the AG and the LG CETA. So, in terms of clean audit, has there been a scenario where a municipality is able to achieve a clean audit, but it does not necessarily translate into the kind of service delivery that you would ordinarily associate with a clean audit? And then to the LG CETA, in terms of professionalization of the public sector, in relation to retention of skills also in the public sector, most of the people that are exhibiting here today at the stalls, most of them have been public sector officials before. They then leave the public sector and become service providers and consultants to the public sector. How do we tackle that challenge in terms of retention of skills within the public sector? Thank you.
Now, that's a very interesting one, clean audit translating to service delivery. Dumisen?
No, thank you. Well, this is the conversation when I spoke earlier that as the AG you were responding to when you talk about culture shift. Because what a clean audit actually means is that you can get a grant from National, MIG grant, and you cannot spend it and send it back. You haven't transgressed any laws. There's no irregular, there's no underperformance qualification, so you clean. So with culture shift, we're looking now in terms of financial management, which is your finances. We're looking at service delivery, which is your mandate, which is now about whether you are able to spend money as per your mandate. So the new plotting then, when we now issue an opinion and write our general report, we're going to classify it to you and say, you clean, but you're not delivering on your service delivery priorities because you're spending 20% of your budget because you're achieving 10% of your predefined objectives. So there was that, I would say, you wouldn't link before clean audits with service delivery. And this is the conversation now with our culture shift where we're saying we want to see our execution performing, being able to account, being transparent, and integrity within the organizations we audit. Thank you.
All right. Inileng, the second question on the retention of skills, or rather maybe a struggle or lack thereof.
No, thanks. I think it starts with you. I've worked for public sector all my life. Not that there were no opportunities in the private sector. And two, just to jinx it, my CFO comes from private sector. But addressing the HR issue, one, the local government has to set up extrinsic and intrinsic rewards. And I'm imagining I come from Northwest, and the municipalities, they are very remote and very rural. And for you to want to recruit an engineer, a young engineer, or a young chartered accountant, you can't be advertising on an entry scale. So municipalities need to work their reward system in a manner that is able, that empowers the accounting officer, not even the council, the accounting officer, because you are there each and every day. I know in PESAL system there's notches, in Peromnes there's lakes and whatever and so forth. So it's always good. I mean, I'll make an example. I'm able to retain people up to 90% of the bracket that they are in. I don't need the board. It's only when it's above that I can go to the board and say. So those are some of the extrinsic rewards. I mean, what type of, how do you link the performance measures of the executives? If somebody brings a solution for revenue collections when it was 0, then you've got 70%. How do you retain that particular team? Because it won't be just one executive. And I mean, recently now we work remotely. Do people still need to be in the office every day? Or someone can work hybrid at somewhere in Johannesburg, but servicing, I don't know. But I'm just saying, there's no right or wrong answer, and I'm just answering because I'm an HR person, so I'm just using the textbook, ma'am, that you left in the second year to respond to retention strategies. But there's no one way. And these are the conversations that we are having with SALGA, also to see how do you make sure that you consolidate, because it won't be right again, because people always, especially when they are young, they move for greener pastures. And especially, I mean, we know categories of municipalities. If we can have uniform pay structures for all local, district, metros, I know with metros at least there's some form of uniform pay standards. If we can go through districts, including local, with the help also of COGTA, we should be able to. I'm doing something now with SAIGA, where in municipalities that are distressed, we are bringing young people, young professionals in, and we are paying them, on top of what SAIGA is paying them, stipends, so that they can go. I mean, today they had the job, I had a meeting in the morning with them to turn around that municipality in the next 3 years. So whether you like it or not, somewhere, if you don't want to pay, you are not going to get the requisite skills, and you'll always be bleeding people, because they just look for greener pastures out there. That would be my 2 cents worth.
All right. Any more questions from the audience?
There is one
Okay,
here.
I see one here and one here.
Maybe I'm not loud enough. There's one
Oh,
here. I've
wait.
been waiting. To your left.
Oh, I couldn't see.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amanda, and I represent I represent an organization that's in the technology space. My question is directed at the representative from AGSA, but also the leadership member representing SIGFA. Now, it was mentioned earlier in the discussion. Firstly, I must say, interesting discussion, great choice of panelists, so thank you for that. It was mentioned that there is either a lack of innovation within the municipal space or an insufficient appetite to address revenue collection. Now, the solutions that exist today, there's solutions that can still be developed to address some of the challenges. The opportunities are endless. A lot of them have been proven effective. However, it almost looks like there are barriers to trade that limit municipalities from actually participating in some of these initiatives. The other thing to consider is that you can go big scale, you can go high scale on your solution, or you can go for something that is scalable. What is it that is limiting municipalities to be effective in the one area, the core area of service delivery? They provide a service and they need to be remunerated for that service. So can maybe the AG explain to us, or maybe SIGFA, because I believe some of the representatives here are looking to your organization for some of the answers, advices, guidelines on how to use technology in addressing some of these challenges. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. I guess Dumiseni and Amos, that would be coming to you.
Okay, I'll take the first answer. Thank you for that question. I'm the senior manager that's responsible for COGTA, the department, SALGA, the national entities that are under COGTA. And the classification for COGTA as a department, it falls under what we call coordinating ministries. It's COGTA, it's National Treasury, it's DPME and that. So there's a stream there that we work with them. And annually, we scope what we call themes to say, we have an issue of dysfunctional municipalities, just to make a simple example. What are your interventions there? So we look at the work they do around the MSIPs and that. Interestingly, to your question, one of the themes that we've scoped was to say, where does the mandate to assist municipalities around IT lies? Started with that conversation with COGTA. There's a department, I just don't have the name, and we were discussing with the DG at COGTA, Mbulelo, and he said, it's only actually this year that it was clarified that COGTA, in as much as they can assist municipalities on tangible things like your municipal intervention plans, implementing the Municipal Systems Act, they also need to oversee the majority of municipalities around IT. And I think it starts there. I think once then COGTA has a strategic view or a strategic plan to say, these will be our interventions, this is the assistance the municipalities require, these are the type of service providers, then there will be clarity. But as I understand as an AG, we even have that in the management report of COGTA. We're going to be following up because it's an action plan to say, how have then COGTA taken up on that mandate to provide, because at national there's CETA, and there's more clarity for national departments. I'll stop there, thank you.
Right, Amos, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, no, thank you very much. I think solutions are already there. Like, for instance, when you look in the banks, you don't need to go to a bank to open an account. You can open an account at home. You can also apply for credit while you are sitting at home. But what we need to do, I think from the side of government, we need to transform our policies so that we are able to partner with those banks. Like, for instance, I'm not advocating for Capitec, but when you go to Capitec, most of the things, are automated. But as local government, we are still doing, all our processes, they are still manual. So we need to partner with those, those banks like Capitec. They have the necessary solutions, and they are ready, they are there. Yeah. It's just a question of us partnering with them.
All right. Yeah. I think we did have 2 hands, so we will be taking those questions. So those, yes, over here, and I think over there.
Thank you so much, facilitator. My name is Councillor Africa Matlongo. I'm the portfolio head for finance for Buffalo City Metro. I was going to say a lot, but I'm going to refine myself only to the revenue management. And I want to pose a question to the House and maybe seeking the researchers, to go out and assist us as the municipalities in order to improve in this sector. Much has been said already, I must acknowledge. But we are sitting with the reality that there is just no appetite. With all else considered, and which was said here today, the issue of an appetite for paying is something that I want us all to consider. Everybody has got priorities, but the municipal bill is the last in all of our priorities. Well, not all of us, most of these communities. We are comfortable with not paying for the services which we consume, by the way. We consume the services on a daily, but the appetite of paying. The reason I'm saying that, with all the economic challenges dealt with, we at the Buffalo City had tried, to intervene, to encourage consumers to pay by implementing the credit control policy, where we said there's partial blocking. Because we understand the single parents and people will live alone. Complete blocking, if you are in arrears, might pose security risks. So we said, instead of that, let's partially block so that it encourages you to come and make an arrangement for you to pay. And we saw ourselves collecting over 85%. But that was legally challenged. And I think that's another issue. When the municipalities are challenged legally, we tend to shy away from defending those cases, and we accept whatever outcome, and there is a little appetite from the legal department to challenge. Now, we have had to suspend the partial blocking, and yet we've taken a knock in terms of revenue collection. So I'm saying, having all those things considered. Now, another thing, if we want to be tough, and one of the deputy Minister of Finance at one point, when he visited the city, says that we don't have appetite of implementing the credit control. Because you know what, we understand that because we are government, and in Buffalo City we are led by the leading party in its majority, we then want to be lenient to a consumer who will come in crying, saying, my municipal bill is like this, I have no idea where I'm going to get the money. You tend to be lenient, because if you want to implement the full credit control policy, you might go to court and get an order to attach. But we can't. As a government of the people, we cannot begin to go for people's properties if they fail to pay for services. We are sitting with that. Do we become cruel in the eyes of the community and look the other way and collect like the private sector does? Because if you owe the bank, they go for you. But we as government, we cannot go for you, because we must consider that we cannot put you out in the street. So those limitations, I thought I must make it the House understand that sometimes it's really about being humane, but to the detriment of the actual institution. Lastly, I spoke to one of the mayors in the country on another engagement, and he was surprised that there is even irregular expenditure in some of the institutions, because apparently they had zero tolerance where they are. We tend to tolerate the explanations, by management. Someone will bring in these deviations a whole 2 years after they have actually, implemented them. And that's wrong according to the Act. Somebody did mention from the panel members to say the 30 days or the next council meeting, that accounting officer should be able to go and report that to council. But we find administrators with sitting in their shelf, in their drawers, these having been implemented, by the way, have not been noted by council. And after 3 years, we must understand that we are wrong again there, because consequence management, we should not be looking at someone in the face. We should be able to deal with the policy and do what is expected of us. So until we are serious about these that we are discussing here, we are facing a problem of this decay in our institutions. And I am pleading to this sector to say, in terms of this stealing of electricity, illegal connections, which I think water and electricity, the losses that have been reported here again today, what to do then? Because we give citizens 50 kilowatts, the indigent ones, but they've consumed 5 times that amount. So there is no, controls, and say, maybe because you are indigent, you have a right to water. And do we then limit you to the 6 kiloliters? And if you consume more, will you have the money to pay for that? So these are the serious things that I'm hoping that the panel members will be able to assist us into getting strategies on how to circumvent some of these glaring challenges that we are facing. Thank you so much.
I think from what I got there was basically the main question is how punitive can you get? Because if you actually don't go far enough, this will still lead to a continuation of the decay in the municipalities. Any takers? We pick you, we choose you.
Okay, thank you. It is commendable for an honorable councillor or member to emphasize the implementation of the crisis control in municipalities. Very commendable. It starts with the principals, the councillors, to ensure that they adhere in the payment of their municipal bills. And if you don't pay within 3 months, it's against the code of conduct. You are supposed to make payment plans, or else that amount of money be taken from your councillor allowances through the processes of the municipality or else through the speaker of the municipality. I just want to share this with my honorable councillor that in the province, I think in 2 years, our previous MEC started a campaign called Masakane campaign, whereby it will involve different stakeholders. Thereby we go to a community through the municipality, but then with their mayor, the councillors need to be involved in that. We educate the communities on the importance of paying for services. It's a fact that some of the people don't want to pay for services. Some of them, they even wait for any initiated incentives in the municipality. If there's a 50% write-off, then they'll start to pay for those services. So it's very important that some of the municipalities in the country, they start to engage their communities to educate them of paying services, educate them on how, or not to connect illegally on the services of the municipality. And also involve businesses. Let's not run away from business. Even the business, they own municipalities. But we don't find ourselves to put stringent measures or else implement credit control policies to ensure that those businesses, they do pay us as required. So I will just maybe on that note share what is the KwaZulu-Natal province is doing. It has engaged ESCOM, has engaged Umngeni Tugela, has engaged SALGA to ensure that we go all around to municipalities through the leadership of the municipalities, engage communities to pay for services, and then put more focus on businesses because there's where money is. So that's how we deal with those issues. And then it is very important that the revenue, it is not the role of chief financial officer. It is also a role of public perception sector or a unit in the municipality. It is the role of the infrastructure because there where there are leaks, there's illegal connection, infrastructure needs to do some work to assist in improving revenue in the municipality, to minimize even non-revenue in the municipality and losses that has been incurred. So this is very important that everyone in the municipality to ensure that there is an improvement in the revenue collection. So that's how it should be undertaken. Thank you.
All right, so I do understand that there are more questions, but unfortunately we have run out of time. I think maybe you can catch up with our panelists after the panel, after the panel discussion. We are being kicked out of the graveyard shift, but it was a very, very insightful one, very, very alive. We did get key strategies in how to move municipalities forward, but also really just implementing that cultural shift so that we can have budgets and audits matching with the service delivery results that we are seeing. Thank you so much for our audience, to our audience for joining us, and also to my wonderful panelists for giving us insights on that. Thank you so much.
Thank you to all of those who've stayed. We really appreciate your time, your energy, your engagement. And thank you to the wonderful panelists and, of course, to our lead facilitator here. It has actually been such a wonderful occasion.